Matthew 16. The demand for the sign from heaven. One day some of the Pharisees and those of Jews' sect known as the Sadducees approached Jesus, insisting that he prove to them that he was the Messiah. Showing us a supernatural sign from heaven, they demanded. Jesus answered, "You can read the signs of the weather, for you see red sky at night, sailors delight. A red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. You so adapt and forecasting the weather by looking at the sky, but you are absolutely clueless in reading the opposite signs of the times. A wicked and wayward generation always asks for signs, but the only sign I provide for you will be the sign of Jonah the prophet." They turned away and left them. The hypocrisy of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Later, as Jesus' disciples crossed over the other side of the Lake Galilee, the disciples realized they had forgotten to bring any of the bread. Jesus spoke up. They said, "Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees." Thinking Jesus was scolding them over not bringing bread, they began to discuss it among themselves. Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said to them, "You have such little faith. Why are you arguing with one another about having no bread? Are you so slow to understand? Have you forgotten the miracle feeding the 5,000 families, and how each of you ended up with a basket full of fragments? And how 7 loaves of bread fed 4,000 families with baskets left over? Don't you understand? I'm not talking about bread, but I'm warning you to avoid the yeast of Pharisees and the Sadducees." They finally realized he wasn't talking about the yeast found in bread, but the error of the teachings of Pharisees and the Sadducees. Peter's revelation of Christ. When Jesus came to Caesarea Philippi, he asked the disciples this question: "What are the people saying about me, the Son of Man? What do they believe I am?" They answered, "Some convince you are John the Baptizer, others say you are Elijah incarnated, or Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. But you, who do you say that I am?" Jesus asked. Simon Peter spoke up and said, "You are the anointed one, the Son of the living God." Jesus replied, "You are favored and privileged, Simon, son of Jonah, for you did not discover this on your own, but my Father in heaven has supernaturally revealed it to you. I give you the name Peter, stone, and this rock will be the bedrock foundation on which I will build my church. My legislative assembly and the power of death will not be able to overpower it. I will give you the keys of heaven's kingdom realm, to forbid on earth that which is forbidden in heaven, and to release on earth that which is released in heaven." He then gave his disciples strict orders not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. Jesus prophesies his death and resurrection. From then on, Jesus began to clearly reveal to his disciples that he was destined to go to Jerusalem and suffer injustice from the elders, leading priests and religious scholars. He also explained that he would be killed and 3 days later be raised to life again. Peter took him aside to question him privately. He reprimanded Jesus over and over, saying to him, "God forbid, Master, spare yourself. You must never let this happen to you." Jesus turned to Peter and said, "Get out of my way, you Satan. You are a hindrance to me, because your thoughts only filled with man's viewpoints and not with the ways of God." Then Jesus said to the disciples, "If you truly want to follow me, you should at once completely reject and disown your own life. You must be willing to share my cross, experience it as your own, as you continually surrender to my ways. For if you choose a self-sacrifice and lose your life for my glory, you will continually discover true life. But if you choose to keep your lives for yourselves, you'll forfeit what you try to keep. For even if you were to gain all the wealth and the power of this world and to cost your own life, what good would that be? And what could be more valuable to you than your own soul? I, the Son of Man, will one day return with my messengers, and in the splendor and majesty of my Father. Then I will reward each person according to what they have done. But I promise you, there are some standing here now who won't experience death until they have witnessed the coming of the Son of Man in the presence and the power of the kingdom realm of God.